Hello everyone, welcome to Markham's Arkham, a film review segment where I talk about some of my favorite films and maybe films that others may suggest. However, right now, for the first program, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite films, starring Bruce Willis, Madeleine Stowe, and Brad Pitt. Terry Gilliam's 1995 film 12 Monkeys. His sci-fi opus to time travel. Now, Terry Gilliam is a phenomenal filmmaker, methodical, refined, purposeful, in the vein of Kubrick, Hitchcock, just knows his vision, knows what he wants to present, and does not compromise, and is very intentional in set, structure, design, cinematography, so on and so forth. And 12 Monkeys is no exception. The film features what I consider a phenomenal performance from Brad Pitt, a breakthrough character performance from him, in my opinion. He's not, I have a tendency to appreciate Bruce Willis a little more, but Brad Pitt in this film, and he just steals it. He just steals the show, man. And Terry Gilliam, again, is in his refinement, in his presentment of the surrealistic view and the way in which he presents a work is just always a treat, always a wonderful thing to behold, something that he still stayed true to until this day with his principles and his formulaic or non-formulaic approach to his filmmaking and the presentation of the story that he encapsulates within a certain frame of time. If you've seen his recent works, Zero Theorem or The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, you'll see that still to this day, there's no difference in that. There's no compromise for a filmmaker who has gone through so much tribulation, so much filmmaking hardship, I guess you'd say, when it comes to getting his projects done and his films out there. Lack of fun, being outside the Hollywood system. He's always struggled for funding and things like that to get his vision seen and to get it out there, because he doesn't really appeal to the masses in that sense, in the way that big Hollywood film studios would want his movies making millions and millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars all over the world. And, artists who tend to stay true to their vision in that way and everything, just don't really always make that kind of money on their films. And Terry Gilliam, I really can't say one way or another to some of his films. I know some have done very well, others have not. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, for example, is a good point of reference, because he wanted to make Don Quixote. If you see the documentary Lost in La Mancha, that shows you a lot of what he went through to try to make the film Don Quixote. And I don't really know the story in between, but eventually when The Man Who Killed Don Quixote came out, I don't believe it's the film he was trying to make when the Lost in La Mancha documentary was released. Moving on to 12 Monkeys. Excellent film, excellent film. Most of the films, if not all of the films on here that I will be talking about in this segment are films that I love, that I already love, and that I recommend. So most by default. You could just assume it's recommended. If it's not recommended, I will emphatically state so. I will clearly say so. So, moving on, we have Bruce Willis as this character, James Cole, in this film, 12 Monkeys, right? He gets sent back in time from the future, and so there was this virus released on planet Earth. It's this odorless virus that's released throughout the world and kills most of humanity, and now people in the future had to resort to living underground and establishing societies underground to live in, but they still have a desire to resurface and populate the world again. So they send people back in time to hopefully find the source, the origin of the virus, when it was released, exactly, and hopefully stop it. And what they seem to do is use their criminals. The people of the future in this film seem to use their criminals to complete this task. I guess, if you've already been imprisoned or convicted of something, you're more dispensable, right, to future society. So, hey, all you future criminals, remember that when we go into seclusion, or we have to go underground, or there's some zombie fucking psycho apocalypse or whatever is coming, just remember that you're the expendable ones. You're the ones that are going to go first. So you may want to just not commit any crime now, so that you're with all the regular people in the future underground. Okay? But no thank you to that. No matter what the circumstances are, in my opinion. Anyway, so James goes back to the past to try to correct this, and he meets Brad Pitt's character. He meets Madeleine Stowe's character, who's like the psychiatrist, who, when, he gets there, because when he gets there, they treat him like a criminal. They think he's psychotic because he's saying he's from the future, he's got this mission, so on and so forth. And so he is treated poorly. Jailed, they haul him off, the whole bit, right? Put him in prison. But they're actually getting him ready to go into an asylum where he meets Brad Pitt's character. The voluntarily psychotic, quirky son of a billionaire pharmacologist who tests pharmaceuticals on animals. And so his son, Brad Pitt's character, whose name is escaping me right now, the name of the character, but anyway, he forms this organization called the 12 Monkeys for animal rights, as an animal rights activist group. But the people of the future think the 12 Monkeys are the ones who released the virus. So, Bruce Willis, James Cole, is looking for Brad Pitt's character, unbeknownst to him, actually, in a way. But he comes to find out that he is the 12 Monkeys guy, and he thinks the 12 Monkeys group released the virus, until they finally discover that it wasn't the 12 Monkeys group, and there's a reason. It was some other scientist, and the scientist does have a connection to Brad Pitt's character in the movie. You'll have to watch the movie to find out why that is. But they were close, but they didn't get it quite right. However, Brad Pitt gives an amazing performance in this film as the son of the pharmacologist Jeffrey Goins, the quirky, voluntarily psychotic, which you'll know what I mean by that when you see the film. Anyway, and this is who Bruce Willis ends up thinking spread the virus. Turns out it wasn't, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a great story. First of all, it's sci-fi. It's Terry Gilliam sci-fi, and it's a great story of time travel and the effects of crossing time, which is just almost always a great subject, depending on who is handling it. But it's always been an interesting subject to me, the effects of future selves crossing paths with past selves and things like that, and quantum mechanically what actually would truly occur. You know, what is the possibility of that sort of reality, or that sort of realistic occurrence, if it were a realistic occurrence, that is. But anyway, so he handles this exploration very well. In this film, time travel is not a perfected process, and so at first they send Bruce Willis's character, James Cole, back to early, and then he disappears they bring him back, and then they send him back again to a better time, and he again runs into the psychologist that he had run into earlier when he traveled back like 6 years ago. So in this point in the film, it's 6 years later where he traveled back to. So he was trying to go to 96. At first he went back to 90. Now he's back in 96, and he's running into the psychologist again, who had talked with him in the asylum when they first had picked him up earlier in the film. Cole's character is like this violent, antisocial, criminal individual, right? And he ends up on this crusade to save the world from the person who's going to be releasing this virus. He's trying to find them. He's trying to stop them. So in a way, it's kind of like a sense of redemption, but not fully. It never comes full circle, because at the end of the film, James Cole's younger self in an airport witnesses his older self being shot and killed. So it brings up these interesting perspectives of time travel, the effects of time travel, the folly of time travel, and whether or not, like, because in the end, okay, if he dies and he doesn't succeed in his mission, which you have to watch the film to know that, what was the point of him ever traveling to begin with? Then he might as well have stayed in the future and lived out the rest of his life and died naturally at the end of his life, rather than going out sooner. And the impact of that, the trauma his younger self experienced from witnessing and someone being shot in front of him at all, is just, I'm sure, traumatizing for the child. And I wouldn't say irony, but that is the twist in the plot of the film, is that the younger self witnessing the older self being killed and not even knowing it's your older self. Which is also what likely led to him becoming a violent, antisocial criminal. It's also one thing that Gilliam was trying to say with the film, in the paths crossing, the younger and the older selves crossing paths, which is why he opens the film with a scene in the airport of his younger self, of Cole's younger self at the airport. That's something to ponder for a while. That's a deep, that brings deep thoughts right there. That'll make you think, right? And that's just one of the things Gilliam does as a filmmaker. Like, throughout my whole life, I have just really loved and appreciated his work. I can't think of a film that I don't like. There's some I like more than others, of course, but ever since I was a child, favorite films growing up, Time Bandits, Brazil, two of my favorite films as a kid. In my opinion, he's always been a great filmmaker. He will always be a great filmmaker. He's still doing phenomenal stuff today that is just, wow. Dude, Don Quixote, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. If you have not seen it, see it. See it. You need to just check it out. Check it out, alright? Hey guys, thanks for being here. Hope you appreciate my analysis, my take on this, the things that I had to say about the film in and of itself. And if you like it, give a like, subscribe to the channel. I post all kinds of different content on here, art stuff, music stuff, so on and so forth. As you guys know, I have a passion for art and music, but I also have a passion for film. Not so much making film, but just an appreciation of the aesthetic of film, why things are done in films the way they are done by certain filmmakers at times, and the ones that are the most methodical and the most purposeful and the most intentional in their work and what they're doing. It's just the things that I look for in film and the things that I've always appreciated in film. So, thank you for being here. Until next time, click the like and subscribe button. Share this with all your friends, family, and aliens beyond the moon and our universe and interdimensional beings that you may come into contact with. Everyone and everything that you know to help the algorithm so more people can see this. Alright, man, thank you, and let's thank the filmmakers for their art, for giving us what they have, for giving back to the world in the way that they have chosen to do so. Because without them, without it, you wouldn't have the entertainment. Till next time, peace.